Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Today is third chapter, Karma Yoga. The term karma in Indian philosophy and religion is a very much misunderstood term. All people speak of karma, but only very few people understand the meaning of it. It's not people's fault, because karma has many concepts. Of the 6 systems of Indian philosophy, Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. Purva Mimamsa is also called Karma Mimamsa. The Brahmana aspect of the mantra and the Brahmana aspect of the Vedas are dealing with karma. So when karma is understood in the light of Purva Mimamsa, it has reference to Vedic rituals. Various kinds of sacrifices and other worshipful rituals are done in India. Also various samskaras are performed right when a woman is pregnant till the child becomes an adult. And even the cremation is one of the important samskaras. Samskara means the processing, something which is ingrained in a person, so that will remain with that person as part of his culture. For all these reasons, karma has become very important in Purva Mimamsa. That is one sense in which karma is understood. But when you limit karma in the sense of Vedic rituals, Americans do not know what Veda is, Chinese does not, Japanese, Africans, Eskimos, people all over the world, they have their own scriptures, and they don't have to be necessarily followers of the Veda or Vedic ritual. So if we take Veda karma as a Vedic karma, then it has relevancy only to the subcontinent of India, especially to those people who care for the Veda and its culture. But there is a wider sense in which karma is used. For instance, karma in the Buddhist and the Jain concepts are also very important. Some Jains at least claim that the Jain tradition goes back even beyond the Vedic times. Mahavira, Vardhamana Mahavira, the 24th Tirthankara, was a contemporary of Lord Buddha, and he was the 24th Tirthankara. So if we go on tracing the time of each Tirthankara before him to the first Tirthankara, it goes beyond 6000 or 7000 BC, and it's a very old culture if their claim that Mahavira was the 24th Tirthankara, and also the age they give of each one. And in the Jain philosophy, there are two categories, the Chit and the Achit. The Chit is consciousness. Achit is matter or that which is devoid of consciousness. And these two are put together like some cotton wool which is soaked in water. When cotton wool is soaked in water, it is heavy and it sits where it is. If you warm up and evaporate the water away, then the fibers become loose. And more water leaves means the fiber becomes loose and the whole thing starts rising from the ground. And when it is very loose, it can rise high and it can also fly, it can float. And when all the fibers are very loose, it spreads and covers a large field. This is an analogy they take for the relation between the jiva and the ajiva, or the chit and the achit. So what is this achit then? According to them, it's karma. Consciousness is something very pure, and karma is when the consciousness is become more and more specific and it is motivated. The motivation is to manipulate things, and the various manipulations are various karmas. And when our life principle, jiva, is soaked with our karma, we feel heavy, not physically, heavy with karma, and thus we are earthbound, and then we cannot liberate ourselves. So the tapasya and various penances which the Jain performs is to burn away the karma from him, and then alone he becomes liberated. And when fully liberated, he becomes like the Akasha. That is why the perfected Jains, they say that they are clad with Akasha, with the atmosphere, and they don't wear any clothes, called Digambaras. So the idea of the Digambara is that the soul in them loses the karma and pervades the entire universe, and they become like Ishvara. In Jain philosophy, there is no God, there is no Ishvara, but a Tirthankara becomes like Ishvara. The qualities that we attribute to Ishvara are all shared by a Tirthankara, except that he is not a creator. Well, that is the Jain philosophy and the idea of karma in the Jain philosophy. When you come to Buddhism, the idea of karma is much more vast. The entire world is an aggregate of our various dispositions, impressions, ideas. So things are all sankhada, an integrated body of dependent origination. They called it is a samutpada. Samutpada of what? Pratitya samutpada. So everything is cause and an effect. If you are burning a candle, the flame of the candle seems to be steady and one and the same flame. But the fat that is going into the flame to become oxidized and burn is a different fat from moment to moment. The cotton fiber that is burning as a wick is also a new fiber. Some new molecules are getting involved in it. That means the flame of this moment is not the flame of the next moment. The flame of this moment is causing the next moment's flame to come. Thus, everything in this world is both a cause and an effect. This cause and effect chain, which is ever continuing, is what they call karma. So there is nothing but karma. So the two aspects are, one is nirvana or nibbana, as they say it in Pali, and karma. Karma means process, a becoming is going on. When the processes come to a close, is no more functioning, that is all when the energy is expended. When the flame has gone out, if there is no more any oil to burn and no more fiber to burn, then you say it extinguished. So what happens after extinguishing? That is called the nirvana or nibbana. So there are only two alternatives, karma and nirvana. So we have now seen three schools of philosophy with the three different concepts of karma. And when we come to Vedanta, which is more an integrated philosophy than the rest, it accepts the Jain theory of karma, the Buddhist theory of karma, also the ritualistic aspect of karma. But in Gita what we see is not an eclecticism or putting together so many things like a mosaic. Rather, the whole thing is integrated into a unity philosophy. And this third chapter of the Gita is giving us a unity philosophy of karma. Jayasi chet karmanaste mada buddhir janardana tatkim karmani khore mam niyojayasi keshava vyamishreni vavakena buddhim mohayasi vame tadegam vadanichitya yena shreyohamapnuyam. These are the words of Arjuna. Arjuna said, if you are of the opinion, O Krishna, that reason is superior to action, why then in an action that is ghastly do you enjoy me, O Keshava? So why do you enjoy me? It is such a terrible thing. In the previous chapter, the Lord was describing the beauty of a person who has gone into transcendental wisdom, what we call jnana, of a renunciate, of a yogi, is full of peace and joy. There is great serenity, there is equanimity. Such is the life of a jnani, of a yogin. But here Arjuna is standing in the battlefield. He turned to Krishna, accepted Krishna as his guru, and he wanted to follow the best teaching of his guru. Now the guru has given him two models. One of a person of action, the other is a person of wisdom. And here Arjuna has one complaint. He said, my guru, why did I choose you as my guru? Because I did not want to remain perplexed. I did not want to have confusion. When you have a guru, the guru will lead you in the right path, and all that the disciple has to do is to walk in that path. But now Arjuna says, I found that I made a mistake in asking you to be my guru. You seem to be not interested in my welfare. You want to confuse me. So you are giving me here two opposite kinds of disciplines. Why don't you think it out in your mind, and when you are sure what is good for me, tell me that. See, many disciples expect the guru to tell them what exactly they should do. And this is what the guru does not want to say. There are people who are dictators and people who love power, and they will always say, come on, obey me, you are my disciple, do this, do that. But I don't think a right guru does that. The guru will only show how things are. It is entirely up to you to choose your path and do that. But of course he will show how things are. And you have to use your discretion. And you have to use your own volition. Otherwise, what will happen? The guru will have all your karma upon him. You see, I did not do anything. I am just only a servant, a slave. Guru asked me to do it. I did it. There is an executioner of the government. And when the judge says hang, he hangs. When he says electrocute, he electrocutes. When he says put him on the gas chamber, he puts him in the gas chamber. Can you say the executionist is a bad man? He is not a bad man. He is only just carrying out the will of the judge. But the judges also say, I am not doing this, I am only carrying out the will of the state. And the will of the state is all laid out in the laws, and I just do it. Then everything goes finally to one who initiates it. But here, the guru does not take upon him any karma. If you take the example of Krishna, he sets a very good model. He did not ask anyone to wage a warfare. Duryodhana went to him and said, Oh Krishna, I want you to be my friend. All right, I am your friend. Give me all your army. Okay, take all my army. Arjuna went and said, I want it. Amishrenev vakena buddhim mohaya jiva me tadegam vada nichitya yena shreyoham apnuyam. By words that appear to be mixed up, you seem to confound my reasoning. Tell me, after taking a decision of that one way, by which I may obtain merit. So do not confuse me. See, when a disciple makes complaints like that, the guru is not annoyed. He is like a physician. In a state of disease, a patient may blurt out many things. Then the doctor has patience. He says, that's all right. But here, Bhagavan, on hearing such complaint from Arjuna, where there is a real allegation, in a very calm way, the Lord says, Lokesmin dividha nishta pura prokta maya nakha jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. There are two kinds of disciplines in this world, as declared in ancient times by me, O sinless one, Arjuna, by the unity way of wisdom, Jnana Yoga, of the Sankhyas, by the unity way of action, Karma Yoga of the Yogis. There are two ways. When we open the Ishavasya Upanishad, there also we are told there are two ways. One is the way of the liberated person who sees everywhere nothing but God, God enshrined in everything, God permeating everywhere, God enveloping all. There is nothing in him to say I, and there is nothing out there which can be possessed. So this person who sees within him and outside him the same universal truth, universal existence, universal bliss, he floats in it, like a wave in the ocean. He is not separated from that. And it is fully normal for a wave to rise and fall. Similarly, an individual consciousness rises out of the Supreme and it merges with it. This is one way. The other way is to know that you have a body, you have your senses and mind, and you have a character which was established through your past history, and by virtue of your individual consciousness, you are related with other individuals, and those individuals who are around you have expectations from you, and you have entered into a social contract with them, and the fulfillment of that contract is very necessary. So you decide that you are going to live a full lifetime, say about 100 years. 100 years is here said because you have a long lifespan in your view before you, so that you can program things, program and perform. That means you will be engaged in action all the time, and those actions are all programmed for your welfare and the welfare of others, and then you perform it till you die. So these are the two. One is the life of the free, the jnani. The other is a man of action. But Arjuna sees it differently. Not exactly as it is theoretically enunciated. He says, why not I remain very quiet? A jnani withdraws from everything. He closes his eyes with his work. He lays his hands to rest on his lap. He folds his legs. That means he is no more moving around. He is not using his hand, and his senses are withdrawn. Allow me to do that. But you are asking me to do something terrible, such as shooting an arrow and killing. And not just killing, but killing my own guru, killing my own fathers, my own uncles, my own cousins, my own brothers. What's a ghastly thing? If you are my guru, how can you ever endure seeing me do such a terrible thing when I am willing to go as a sannyasi, to renounce the world and to sit in meditation? Why not you allow it? Krishna says, I agree that there are two paths. From the very beginning of time, these two paths were there. Now what we have to decide is how much Arjuna is fit to take a model of a renunciate, a contemplative. And this is one of the major contributions of the Gita, to enable a person to discover his personal identity. It's called Swadharma. If it is in your Swadharma to be a contemplative, you will become a contemplative. This was very kindly done by nature to all beings. If you look at the world, the mango trees bring forth only mango fruit and not apple, and the coconut tree brings only coconut. A tiger lives by killing other animals. A deer or a gazelle, which is in the same forest, lives by eating grass. So these are all programmed by nature. Their tastes, their tendencies, their urges, everything is somewhat fixed. But man has a wide variety of choice. And also he moves from place to place and puts himself into circumstances which are not as fixed as in the case of other animals and the vegetable world. The result is that he is confused. And Gita is giving a method by which you can make an analysis of your own personality, your own self, your own psyche, and decide where you can fit in and unfold yourself in a harmonious manner. Not that whimsically you run into something because it looked good for the time being, and after a few days you find that you are a misfit. I have this experience in the ashram. Many youngsters come with great enthusiasm to become sannyasis, join ashram. And when they come, they have so much of vairagya and they have so much of shraddha. And we allow things to, sometimes by pressure, we may agree to what they want. But after a few days we find that they cannot fit into it. And they made a mistake, and those who allowed them to be in the ashram, they also made mistakes. So my guru finally asked me not to give sannyasa to anyone who is not 60-year-old. And I gave sannyasa to two people who were 60-year-old, and one fellow turned out to be much worse than a 17-year-old boy. So even age is no guarantee here. So we have to find out what is one's true nature. And that sadharma decides whether a person should take bow and arrows or a person should sit as a contemplative. These two models are taken in Jung's philosophy. in Jung's psychology. Can see he made a general classification of people into two, the extroverts and the introverts. The introvert is a person who is always turning inward, and the extrovert is a person who wants a recognition, attention, all the time some action to go on. He cannot keep quiet. So one is called antarmukhatva, the other is called here say the bahirmukhatva, or one who has a great karmic tendency. And when we look at the history of Arjuna so far, there is very little to think of him as a contemplative. He was a man of action, always wanting to take up some cause and fight. So Krishna does not take him very seriously when he speaks of sannyasa. Na karmana manarambha naishkarmyam purushosnude naja sannyasana deva siddhim samadhigacchadi. By refraining from initiating activities, a person does not come to have the attainment of transcending action, naishkarmya. Nor can one by renunciation alone come to perfection. By giving up action, you do not become a renunciate. And by not performing an action, you do not get the attainment of wisdom also. See, now in America, electronic devices are made with a feedback system so that you train your mind to establish an alpha. When a yogi sits in meditation and goes into a state of samadhi, he establishes an alpha wave in the EEG, and so they taken it reversely. When you can establish an alpha, that means you go into samadhi. So let us train you like that. So make a machine and condition your brain in such a way that it is pacified and the same result is there. But does that make a person wise? Will he come out of it as a Paramahamsa? See, if you go to the mental hospitals, we can see people who sit like Sri Ramakrishna or a Ramana Maharshi. To praises and reproaches, they are the same. Heat and cold is the same to them. And thus they show great equanimity. They do not cry, they do not smile, they have no reaction. And we see a Paramahamsa also behaves like that. But what is the difference? When the Paramahamsa opens his mouth, pearls of wisdom comes from his mouth. And when this madman, he opens his mouth, it is just rubbish. So, the mere outward conformity will not help you. When I first went to Ramanashram, I thought how wonderful is the life of Bhagavad, that he is sitting absolutely unconcerned of the world. You cannot make out from his eyes whether he was seeing you or not seeing you. The whole world is in oblivion. Why not you remain in that state? Then I read in his biography that when he came first to Tirunamala, he sat under a tree, and for several days he did not even move, and people had to go there and thrust food into his mouth. I thought, well, I should also adopt the same thing. So I went and sat under a tree, with the result not to eat, not to talk, not to look at anyone, but just be Maharshi, like Maharshi. Sit under the tree. After 2 hours, I found my body was aching, and my mind was not there. I had no concentration. So I looked everywhere. Again I said, no, 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 this is not how I should not look at anyone. I should not give any thought to anything. But the tea time came, and I could not sit there. I very badly wanted one cup of tea, and that I will take the tea and then come back and sit again. You see, it's not possible. By outward conformity, you cannot get into this. This is what the Lord says. Nahi kachit kshanamabhi jadu dishtyatya karmagrada karyadeha vasa karma sarvaha prakriti gunaihi. Not even for a single instant can one ever remain engaged in no action at all by virtue of modalities, gunas, born from nature. All are made to engage in action helplessly. So we have given two symbolic representation of a person with no action and a person with action. And when it says here, not even for a single instant can one ever remain engaged in no action at all. What of the person who is sitting so quiet? Outwardly he is quiet. But that does not mean there is no action going on. Even considering a proposition in your mind, making a resolve in your mind to act, to behave in a certain way, not to act, that itself is an action. So action is always going on. From this we now know that the word karma is used in the Bhagavad Gita not in a specific sense as in Purva Mimamsa. And it is taken in a very wide sense of any form of activity. Wherever there is a motion involved, wherever there is a change involved, wherever there is from the cause there is a transformation into the effect, then that is a karma. It is in a such wide sense that karma is used here. Karmendriyani samyamya yaste manasa smaran indriyardhan vimudhatma mithyacharaha sauchyade. We are given also some tips here of restraining ourselves or disciplining ourselves. He who sits controlling the organs of activity while ruminating mentally over items of sensuous interest, such a lost soul is said to be one of spurious conduct. We know the external code of ethics, so we like to conform to that. But inside we are not prepared for it. So we are inhibiting our outgoing tendencies such as the eye, the ear, all these are inhibited. But in the mind there is no discipline, and thus desire is burning in him. And when those desires are burning and there is an outward suppression or repression, we know most of the psychogenic diseases are all coming because of this external suppression. And here they are called mithyacharas. It's a hypocrisy. It's what is to be noticed here is not merely the social hypocrisy here, because with social hypocrisy you do not probably hurt any or many. What harm it does to yourself, that is more important. In the Atmopadesha Shataka, a contrast is made of one who is spiritually endowed and one who is only making an attempt. So when a man puts on a robe, takes a title, what does it mean? Or does it mean that he has become a sannyasi? No, it only means that he is an applicant. This is a kind of an application. He says, I apply to become a sannyasi. Someday I may become. And so he is standing in the queue. At the other end of the queue probably is the realized person who has already got his ticket. But this man is also in the queue, but very far probably. And before reaching that, many things could happen to him. It's only an application. And what is the difference between this person and the other person who gained it? Atmapadeshataka says, like a 10,000 suns which have risen, and then how there is not even a little darkness, and all these differences between the past, the present and the future, the knower, the knowledge and the known are all effaced, and there remains nothing but a full realization that you are the eternal existence, the eternal subsistence, and the eternal value, or bliss, the value of value. That kind of an experience does not come by merely aspiring for it. So by simply saying moksha, moksha, or Brahman, Brahman, does it come? No. It can come only through slowly burning away the vasanas and removing all the darkness from inside. And finally you may get to that. So allow your senses at least to function in conformity with your mind, so that you and others may know where you stand. Yastindriyani manasa niyamyarabhade Arjuna karmendriyaihi karmayogamasakta savishishyade. He, on the other hand, who keeps the senses under control by means of the mind, and then commences unitive activity, karma yoga, while still unattached, he excels. Niyadam kuru karmatvam karma jyayo hi karmanaha sharirayatra vijade na prasiddheda karmanaha. Do engage yourself in action that is necessary. Activity is indeed better than non-activity, and even the bodily life of yours would not progress satisfactorily through non-action. So we are now told the actions are not happening at the level of the senses. In Western psychology, called behavioral psychology. Their theory is that the stimulus is coming from outside and your senses are stimulated, and the senses carry the message to the mind, and when the mind receives this message, mind acts upon, mind reacts. So there is a receptor which is receiving the stimulus, and then the reaction is gone through the effector. But this is not the view of the Indian rishis. The Indian rishis see that in us there are already pre-established conditioned states. These pre-established states are called vasanas. And every person has his own library of vasanas, magazine of vasanas. There's a lot of vasanas within him. And the external world has a variety of choices there. According to my vasana, I choose one thing. According to your vasana, you choose another thing. So when both of us go to the same city, one person looks for the best library there, and another person looks for the nightclub or a tavern or a pub. That is decided by the vasana within you. And therefore, instead of beginning with the stimulus that comes and affects the senses, it begins from your own vasana first. According to the vasana, vasanas are like a big group of enthusiastic people who all want to get a chance to come out from their hiding place. So they are standing one behind the other. Our mind cannot attend to two things at a time, only one thing. And so only one vasana can present itself, and then the other vasana is already there, pressing the first vasana to move out so that it could come. Thus there is a big rush in the mind. And each vasana presents itself in the form of a question called manas. Manas is an interrogation, a question that is rising in your mind. When a question rises, it pulls a string of associations of ideas. All those associations are our memories. There are big complexes of memories or matrices of memories which are pulled. And then according to vasana, we assemble some of the memories that gives a kind of a strength to our desire. And in terms of our desire, we start acting. We take a resolve. The resolve is called ichcha, which we make with our intellect. So we have question, we have memory, we have volitional desire, which we make a will. And the next thing is action, karma. So all karmas originate in the mind from the vasana. So if you regulate your vasanas, regulate your mind, your senses won't give you any trouble. The organs of perception and the organs of action are all they are all willing to obey the orders of the mind. So begin the reformation in the mind. यज्ञार्थात् कर्मणोऽन्यत्र लोकोऽयं कर्म बन्धनः Tadardham karma kaundeya mukta sanga samachara. Outside of activity, with a sacrificial purpose, this world is bound by action. Even with such a purpose, do engage in work, O Arjuna, freed of all attachments. Now we are going to have the next few verses dealing with the concept of sacrifice. When you come to action, what could be the best form of action? The finest, the best form of action is sacrifice. So here is shown a sheaf of wheat, fire burning, then the cloud raining. First there was only one grain. That grain perished. Only by the one that is sown by the farmer perishing, a plant can come out of it. And that one grain which perishes brings forth many, many grains. In the Bible, Jesus says, the grain that tries to preserve itself perishes. Is lost. But the grain that allows itself to perish brings forth in 100-fold. So this is a good example of sacrifice. You burn out, but then the very energy which you have spent, that changes into the welfare of the world. Father and mother, they toil very hard, and by the time they are old, their children have taken their place, and they sometimes excel the father and the mother in doing much better to the world, and they are also doing a sacrifice then. The earth is showing us how a continuous sacrifice is going on. Fire is another symbol of the sacrifice. It is expending itself. Fire is, by burning it, it is losing itself. In Heidegger's philosophy of phenomenology, he says every wishiness is like an energy, a potential energy that is coming out and becoming extinguished, expended. That burning out, it does not gain anything. But that by burning, that very process of burning, that is his contribution. When you have a candle, the candle is burning out, but till it is lost, it gives light to the room. And that is a sacrifice. When an incense stick is burning at the cost of its own life, it is giving fragrance. Thus we are all candles, we are all incense sticks, we are all camphor blocks. We are burning, but we are giving to the world. And that is symbolized by the fire. A cloud cannot remain there and also rain. And when it rains, it is lost. It gathers raindrops from the sky, from the ocean, instead of the sea water. Pure water is lifted out of the ocean, and it is taken across the sky and brings almost to our garden, and then it loses itself but gives us a shower of mercy. And such is the world. Wherever we see action is going on, and the finest form of action is when it becomes a sacrifice. Sahayajñāha prajāha sriṣṭvā purovaja prajāpadihi अनेन प्रसविष्योत्तमेष वो स्पष्टकामधोक्. In ancient times, having created the peoples with sacrifice as pertaining to them necessarily, Prajapati, the lord of the people, said, "By this shall you grow and multiply. Let this be to you the milk cow of all desires." In Upanishads like the Brihadaranyaka, the Chandogya, Aitareya, we have stories of the creation of the world through the penance of the first being. The first being had to sacrifice that being itself for the creation of the world. And thus, karma as a sacrifice was instituted from the very beginning of the world, and it is only natural for us to adhere to it. Devan bhavayadhanena te deva bhavayanduvaha parasparam bhavayandaha shreyaha paramavabhyatha. With this do you gratify the gods, devas, and they the gods gratify you. Thus gratifying reciprocally, you shall reach to supreme merit. Here the devas and the people below, that should be considered like a numerator and a denominator. The devas are the numerator, and the denominator are the people. And the devas are there because we are here. If we do not sacrifice, then the devas cannot bless us, cannot grace us. All first devas and people, when we speak like that, it is more a poetic concept. It's not anything which is empirical, but there is great meaning in it. It's an attitude which we are cultivating with a value above. What we consider here as a deva who is sending the grace to us is a hypostatic value which we are projecting there. When people decide that they should have a democracy, they are putting the value of democracy up there, and then that same thing start ruling on the people here, people's mind. It's like a deva who is overruling them, and they are supporting that. If people lose their own faith in democracy, then that cannot continue there. Like that, we can have any number of examples to visualize the numerator aspect and the denominator aspect of the shining principle there, and the supporting people or the contributory factor which is beneath. One is the alpha factor and the other is the omega factor. Ishtan bhogan hivo deva dasyande yajna bhavidaha tairdattana pradayepyo yo punkte stena eva saha. Those gods shall bestow on you all gratifications you desire. One who eats what is given to them without giving in turn to them, he is a thief indeed. Now this is a contract, and in this contract we are benefited by God or gods, and if we do not benefit the gods and benefit the world, then you are like a thief. There are various kinds of economics. One is a direct contract. The direct contract is you are employed. So you go at 8 o'clock, work there for 8 hours or 6 hours, your contract is over, you come away and you are paid for that. You can say, I am honestly earning my bread with the sweat of my brow. I give, I am given. It's an honest way of living. Take the life of a sannyasi. He does not sign a contract with anyone. And he does not work the way in which a person goes to an office and works. He wanted. What he is always doing something for the benefit of the world. Day and night he is working. But the person for whom he is working, it may not be that person who is feeding him or giving him shelter. So I work usually 10 to 18 hours a day. Is it obligatory? Do people ask me to work? No, nobody asks me to work. But I say, those who have gone before me, other sannyasis, the Buddha, Shankara, Vivekananda, those who have gone before me, they were all tirelessly working to enrich this world, the understanding of the world, the value vision of the world, compassion of the world, and thus to make the world culturally, spiritually, intellectually a better place. And it is because of that I am accepted by people, recognized by people. So if I just live on their glory, I become a thief. I am not doing justice. So I should make my own contribution to this non-paid job, but it is fully paid. When I was with my guru, I never thought of leaving the shores of India. Then one day he said, go around the world, now you should go. My money is in all banks, so you can always go and write a check and get the money. I thought that was very sneaky of Guru to put money in foreign accounts and never letting me know. Then he said, oh, I didn't put it. That was put by the Lord Buddha. That was put by Swami Vivekananda. What kind of money is that? Goodwill. Goodwill in the hearts of people. Through their sacrifice, they created goodwill in the hearts of people. That is the best bank. And if you add to their goodwill, then you have a license to go anywhere. The whole world is yours. And I found that was true. By no hitch anywhere, other than little things like formalities of which hour consisting. But there is nothing. The whole world is open. That's only when you are not a thief. Annāt bhavandi bhūtāni parjanyadanna sambhavaha yajñāt bhavati parjanyo yajña karma samudbhavaha. Food is the cause of beings, and from rain, food is produced. Sacrifice has its effect in rain, and sacrifice has its origin in action. Here, the necessary aspects of man and the highest benevolence which is residing in this world as an adrishta, as an invisible power, these two are related. You say, if there is no rain, there is no food. And how do you relate the food to the rain? I say by performing yajnas. Does it work? You don't have to take it very literally. Sometimes even literally is true. We read many such stories. So once, when Narayana Guru was traveling in Tamil Nadu, it was very hot. When the summer was very hot, and people had no water, and all the rice fields were dry, and the farmers were all crying. He went and sat near an old Vinayaka temple. So people of the locality came rushing to him and said, Swami, there is no rain, and our cattle are all dying. There's nothing in our field, no drinking water. Please help us. He is a mendicant. He is a wandering mendicant. How can he bring rain? But people have faith, belief in the invisible, adrishta. Even though he is also one like them, they think that he has some connection with that adrishta, that power. So we call the rain god Varuna. It's a very beautiful name. Vara means blessing. Varuna is one who bestows blessings on you. And how does Varuna know that we need his help? There is a God in our heart. His name is Mitra. Mitra means the friend. So every thought in your heart is conveyed to the divine by a friend in you. That is called the Mitra. So Mitra and Varuna, they always go together. You pray and the prayer is answered. So in the story I was mentioning, Narayana Guru said, look at this temple of Vinayaka. You have discarded it. The Vinayaka is not getting any attention. When you show such kind of carelessness, indifference to God, how can you expect God also to be kind to you? So, break a coconut for him. Can you? They said, we will break. So they all ran home, brought coconuts. They started breaking. And even when this was going on, clouds gathered, and there was a big rain. And this may look like just a coincidence, but it is not always a coincidence. So for instance, Mani was with me one day when we were in Sydney, in Springdale, a big farmer is there called Jimmy Walker. And they went to feed the cows. Cows were dying, there was no grass, no green grass. So Jimmy came to me and said, Swami, can you not bring a rain? I said, how can I bring rain? But that is his need, you see. He is not an Indian, he is an Australian. Whether Indian farmer or Australian farmer or Chinese farmer or American farmer, when you need rain, you should have rain. And you know that you cannot make it, with all your science, you can probably produce half a bucket of water as rain by spraying some chemicals. So I went out and looked around. I did not want to get a bad name for my psychic siddhi. So I said, Jimmy, I don't see any cloud anywhere. Can you give me 3 days? He said, no. In 3 days all my cows will die. Alright. I'll try. So I went round calling Varuna to help. By evening we had rain, utterly rain, and the rain continued for more than a week, and it caused so much of a flood there, and the big reservoir became full. It's not by my power. Why? What is it then? There is an invisible benevolence in the whole universe. When you give up your ego and you relate yourself to that benevolence, that reciprocates. But you should have such love for the divine, and you should believe that the divine will listen to you. So these things are even literally possible, only that one should not take a pride in it. If you do it for the welfare of the world, it will always happen. And therefore this yajna, which is given here as a middle, is the middle link between the world of necessity, food, and the world of grace, rain, and this will always happen. Karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmakshara samudbhavam tasmat sarvagadam brahma nityam yajne pradishthidam. Know that action arises from Brahma, God of creation, and that Brahma traces his being to the imperishable Akshara. Therefore, the all-pervasive absolute Brahman is eternally bound up with sacrifice. There are some secret meanings in this, such as Akshara, for instance, and word, Veda, is a composition of words, and the words in it are Aksharas. And Brahma is considered to be a creator, and he creates with word. In the Bible also we hear that God created with his word. He said, let there be light, and there was light, and he said, this is good. Also St. John says, in the beginning was the word. The Mandukya Upanishad says everything is the word, the Akshara. And Brahma, when once he creates, the transaction of the world is happening through language. The goddess of language is Saraswati. And Saraswati is supposed to be both the daughter of Brahma and also the concept. The meaning is the semantic world of language arises out of names and corresponding concepts. The concept can reside in a word. For instance, when you say chair, I'm sitting on a chair, this chair is called an actual chair. And on hearing the word chair, in your mind the idea of chair comes. If this is the actual chair, that is a virtual chair. The chair is an idea. And before my mentioning the word chair, you are not thinking of it. As soon as I mentioned, it came, and as soon as you saw the chair, the idea of the chair came to your mind. So before that, the concept of the chair must have been residing in your mind at a deep unconscious level, and that is called the conceptual chair. So there is a perceptual chair, there's an actual chair, there's a conceptual chair. And the word chair, if it is written and kept there, even for thousands of years it can remain. Even when this chair and we are all gone, the name chair will persist, will continue. That is called the nominal chair. So the nominal chair is the Akshara, which is retained in the word. So it is believed that even after a Chadar Yuga, when everything is swallowed up by Pralaya, this world goes back into the Vedas, into the words, into the names. And the next world springs up from the name or the word, the Akshara. So it is with the Akshara, Prajapati has created this world, and therefore everything belongs to that world. Everything is established on the world, and the Veda is a summation of the words. Yevam pravartidam chakram manavartayadihayah aghayurindriyaramo mogham partha sajivadi. He who fails to lead a life here under that does not conform to the rotation of such a wheel, such a man of vicious lifetime lives, O Partha, in vain indeed. So if we belong to this world, we should respect our traditions and what was carried on and brought up to us by our forefathers, our parents. We have a duty to continue it. And if we alienate ourselves from the mainstream of life, then we are defectors. And the life of a defector has very little value. He is only just eating and drinking and sleeping. And that is only just vegetating. He does not give gratitude to what he has done. When a person is doing the Shraddha, when he goes at least once a year and sits on the bank of a river like, say, Periyar, and offering Shraddha, he is making himself grateful to whatever that was done to him by the previous generations. And he is making a vow that he will continue it, so that it may go, the benefit may go to the posterity. Thus he makes himself a link between the past and the future. Only then you can say that you have done your part to this world. Yatvatmaridireva syadatmatrutascha manavaha atmanyeva jasantushta tasya karyam na vidyate. But for him who happens to be attached to the self alone, who finds full satisfaction in the self, for such a man who is happy in the self as such too, there is nothing that he should do. We have here a representation of a person who is happy by himself. The flower that he is holding is just like looking at himself. There is a Buddhist story that once the Lord Buddha, he gave a great sermon in the deer park of Benares. 5,000 bhikshus were listening to it. And those bhikshus, even though they heard the Lord speaking for more than an hour, they appreciated his words, his love, but no one seemed to have made any connection with the highest realization to which he was making subtle references. Then the Lord turned away from them, and he took a lotus flower, and looked at it and smiled. At that very moment, just by seeing the smile of the Lord and a flower, Mahakashyapa, one of the disciples of Buddha, became immediately enlightened. So that enlightenment was not because Buddha was there or he saw the lotus flower. Anything is enough. Anything in this world can suggest to us the beauty, the grandeur of the self. When you are looking at a flower, the flower is only an excuse for you to see how the world exists, how it is existing in your awareness, and how that awareness is a great joy. And thus, you are not depending on any object of pleasure for your joy. You see yourself in everything. And it becomes exchangeable. The flower is myself. I am the flower. People ask to meditate on the world as I am the cosmos. Yesterday I received a letter from a friend who was suggesting a new kind of meditation, not new, old, but a meditation saying, I am not this body, I am not the senses, I am not this person, I am the cosmos, I am existence. I say it's not necessary. You don't have to say I am not this body. This body is beautiful. Why shouldn't I be the body? The senses are so wonderful. Why shouldn't be I the senses? But the question is, what is this I? And why should the I be there? The senses are at least there, I is not there. So why do you want to place I above the senses? There is no I, but the senses are there, and they are beautiful. This world is there, and it is beautiful. Only I am not there. It's I is a concoction which we make. It is a central reference, the central focus of consciousness, which we mark as I, just for our convenience. When we were babies, we never said I. When you were a child of 1 or 2, you never said I. People called you by your name and you also repeated that name. Afterwards you found people who are speaking, turning to them and say I. And you also look for that. In the center of consciousness, where things are focused, where you have to make some relation for an orientation, so an I is projected there, introjected there, and thereafter that I became very real to you. But when a yogi is capable of transferring that I to anywhere, from any center of consciousness to anything of focal interest, then you are relieved from I. And so you don't have to falsify your own consciousness by making auto-suggestions like I am not this, I am not this, I am that, I am that. These are all kind of self-hypnosis. We can be more real to ourselves, more sincere and real, just by being what we are. Only becoming more sympathetic. When you love some person, the pain of that person becomes automatically your pain. The joy of that person becomes automatically your joy. You always want to contribute to it, add to it. That is the highest sadhana. when the same is extended to everyone, when there are blocks, prejudices, which blocks us from extending that sympathy. So sadhana is to remove that block, so that it can freely, the sympathy can freely go to all. And so here, a beautiful flower is appreciated as if that could also be the self. After all, what is self? Self only means knowledge. Narayana Guru defines Atman. ഇരുളിലിരുന്ന് അറിയുന്നതാകും ആത്മാ. What is that which remains in the dark and that knows itself, or knows without an external aid? So that self-luminous consciousness, wherever that operates, that is the self. And if it is functioning as the appreciation of a beauty, then you are having an Atmarati. Bhogarati and Yogarati, they are not two. It's only a matter of understanding. When Bhogarati is understood as Yogarati, Atmarati, everything becomes Atman, and your delight in everything becomes Atmarati also. Naiva tasya kridenartho na krideneha kaschana na chasya sarvabhudeshu kachchidartha vyapashrayaha. Neither is there anything indeed for him resulting from work done, nor any from work omitted here, nor is there either for him any dependence in respect of anything derivable from any being whatsoever. So there is no program for him, and if he likes to do, he will do. If he does not, then that's okay. Tasmadasaktah sadadam karyam karma samajara asakto hyajaran karma paramapnodi purushaha. Therefore, always remaining detached, engage yourself in action that are necessary. Indeed, performing actions with a detachment, man attains to the Supreme. Karmanaiva hi samsiddhi mastidha janagadayaha loga sangrahamevapi sampashyan kartumarhasi. Janaka and such others reach perfection, even performing acts again, having due regard for the integration of the world too, you have to act. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the central figure is Janaka, King Janaka. It was in his court that all wise people were called, and always there was discussion. And Janaka never claimed that he was a wise person. But the wisest of all, Yajnavalkya, knew that this king was only a king outwardly. Inside, he was a great rishi. In fact, he was pure Sachidananda. And yet, he could assume the humble role of a human being, one among the many, and walk on earth as if he was also to do what others were to do. As he set a model for people, and he did not use any of the prerogatives of a wise person, not to wean himself away from the programs of action. Yadyadacharati shreshta tattadevedaro janaha sayat pramanam kuride lokastadanuvartade. When a great man does anything, the world also want to do like that. So it is binding on a great man that he shouldn't misbehave, because he is the central focus of attention of the world, the community, the society, and he has always to set the example. In ancient days we heard how the king is, so the subject also. So the king was to be a model, and then the subjects also will be like that. A guru should be a model, a father should be a model, a mother should be a model. Otherwise, how can children grow into perfection? So if parents make themselves, they strive for perfection, they have already set the path for their children. The world is a world of action, and in the path of action, we are always trying to see how another person is perfecting itself. If you are in a potter's workshop, or where the potter is making the pot, or a sculptor is making sculpting, a painter is painting, a doctor is healing, an engineer is constructing, you always look at the expert to see how you can improve upon it. So the next person will bring an improvement on what is already done. If you look at the history of our science, the advancement of it is always this improvement that you are bringing upon what others have already done there. न मे पार्थस्य कर्तव्यं त्रिषु लोकेषु किञ्चन नानवाप्तमवाप्तव्यं वर्तेव च कर्मणि. There is nothing in the three words that I am obliged to do, Partha, Arjuna, nor anything unaccomplished to be accomplished, while still I remain active in principle. Then the Lord himself is seen here as a model. He says, I am the creator, the sustainer, and the destroyer of this world. What do I want from this world? Nothing. And even then, I am always working, I am always doing, so that others may take a good example from me. Tulsideyurime loga nakuryam karma jedaham sangarasya jakarta samubahanyami mahas praja. These various worlds, value systems, would fall into ruin should I refrain from activity, and I would become the agent of evolutive confusion, Sankara, killing in effect the peoples. Saktaha karmanya vidvamso yatha kurvandi bharata kuryad vidvams tatha sakta chigirshur loka sangraham. In the same manner as people uninstructed would take to activity with attachment to work, O Bharata, the instructed man likewise should act without attachment, interested merely in world order. Na buddhi bhedam janayed ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani Vidwan yukta samacharan. The person who is wise should not give room for disruption in the way of thinking of those who have not attained wisdom, but by behaving unitively, she should render every kind of action enjoyable. In the Ramanashram, so many people were coming to see Maharshi, and each one has his own way of life, his own conviction. So somebody comes and says, Bhagavan, is not Ramanama the highest? And taking the Nama that you get salvation by just repeating Nama. Suppose you go and say Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, is that not all right? Then he says, yes, that's right. That's right. So he is a jnani. He is a person who does not need anything. He does not do any bhajan. He does not do any kirtan. But he does not tell another person not to do bhajan or not to do kirtan. Then someone else comes and says, oh, I am doing Hatha Yoga, I am practicing asanas, I am practicing pranayama. Is that not right? Sorry, irikatum. He said, let it be. But if you ask him, instead of projecting your own view, if you sincerely seek his teaching, then he will give that. But he does not any time upset a person's own faith and conviction. If a person comes as a believer in Jesus, he makes him a still more greater believer in Jesus. If somebody believes in doing action, he prompts them to do more action. Go your way. I am not upsetting anybody's way. So here the Lord says, Na buddhi bhedan janeyed ajnanam karma sangina. Then how can you change any person? Gurus seem to change people. So suppose now somebody comes to Dr. Pillai and says, I have some pain in my head. I wonder it is a brain tumor. Then he might ask, how much time you have here in this city? If he says, no, by tomorrow morning I should leave. All right, then you may go. Apply some balm today. If there is pain, take some painkiller and go to sleep. Because he cannot do anything more than that. But if he says, no, doctor, I came here only for your sake. I want this to be cured by you. Then he will say, okay. That means another 4 or 5 months you will be here. Then I shall take you to my hospital and we will have a round of tests. And when after diagnosing, if there is an operation required, then I will do it. And it is a whole process. So a person goes to another person and says, will you be my guru? Can you give me moksha? So I was just reading that a lady went to Ramana Maharshi and she said, I want only moksha, nothing more. Oh, Maharshi said it's a great concession that she wants only moksha and she wanted to go by the next train also. So before she gets into the train, he should give moksha. How can it be possible? This is a lifelong contract. I sometimes used to tell people, half jokingly, that I am a wholesaler and not a piecemeal merchant. So if you want to track your life with me, that is for the whole life, the entire life. Are you prepared? If you are prepared to have such a relationship with me for a whole life, yours as well as mine, then we will set out, because the operation that I may have to perform is not that you can do on a table for some hours and some days, because it is just something very delicate. You are handling another person's mind, emotions, tendencies, urges, dispositions, expectations, dreams, uh, some old habits which are poisonous, which have poisoned your system. To wean that out, it may take time. Or sometimes by God's grace, the whole thing may clear out like that, but you cannot predict it. And finally, essentially, it has all to come from God Himself or the Divine, which is you and I put together. And then it starts functioning. It is only here a guru start attacking or demolishing the faith of a disciple. When I came to my guru, for 2 whole years, he did not say one harsh word to me. And I was seeing him pouncing upon people and tearing them into bits, but he never did that to me. He gave me 2 years to establish the rapport. And when he knew that I was earnest and I would stand all the terrible disciplines that he had to give me afterwards, then I found that I became like a sheep got into the mouth of a hungry tiger. You cannot live. He is so harsh in his disciplining because it is required, it is necessary. Because some of the stains in you have gone so deep, and to pull it out, to wash it out, you need a very hard kind of a treatment. A drastic disease needs a drastic treatment. The same is true in wisdom context also. Only under such a situation, a guru deliberately changes the conviction of a disciple. प्रकृतेः क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहंकार विमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते. Irrespective of the occasion, it is nature that through the gunas, 3 modalities accomplish every act one possessed of egoism, however thinks himself as the actor. Now from the idea of sacrifice, we are entering into another aspect of the teaching where the gunas, the prakriti, we are 2 aspects. We are the spirit, and also we are the procreative matrix of nature from which this body, this mind, these senses are all fashioned. And that counterpart of ours is dominated by the triple qualities sattva, rajas and tamas. Tattvavittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vartanda idi matva na sajjate. On the other hand, O mighty armed Arjuna, the one who knows the principle underlying guna, nature mode, as distinct from karma, its functional counterpart, holding the view that subjective modes inhere in their corresponding objective modes is not affected. So there are 2 counterparts. The action, which is the expressive functional aspect of the potent. The potentiality is in the guna. So guna, when actualized, it becomes karma. You have to see both these sides. प्रकृतेर्गुणसम्मूढाः सज्जन्ते गुणकर्मसु तान् कृष्णविदो मन्दान् कृष्णविन्न विचालयेत्. Those confounded by the modalities, gunas of nature, become attached to objective modalities existing in works. Such men, who are not all wise and are dull, should not be unsettled by those who are all wise. It's a repetition again of the earlier idea. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasyaധ്യാത്മചേതസ nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhasya vigadajvaraha. Renouncing in me the absolute all works, coming to be without expectations or possessiveness, with a full awareness about the self, do fight with fever gone. Earlier I said that a guru does not ask you to do because he does not take upon him the karma, the kartritva. The same is true of you when you do not want to do the kartritva. You pass it on the absolute. There the guru becomes the absolute, not a person, and thus the jnatritva in you is relegated to the one self which is in all. The bhoktritva in you is also relegated to the one Vaishvanara who is the enjoyer in all, and thus the action also is relegated to the one karta who is behind all actions. And so you think of me. In the Bible, Jesus says, bring your burdens to me, put them on my shoulders. I call all of you who suffer to come unto me. And here it is the same thing. The Lord says, you put all your burden on me and have a like mind. Go on with your actions. In the present case of Arjuna, it is fighting. But your mind is with me. You meditate on me and let the performance go on. Sri Ramakrishna gives a very good example that a woman is cooking in the kitchen, and when she is cooking in the kitchen, her little child is sleeping, and in the cradle, when she is doing all the work of the kitchen, her mind also is with the child. The slightest sound coming from the cradle is enough for her to leave all work and rush to the child. Like that, outwardly we may perform so many things, but our sadhana goes on inwardly, inside us. We always think of the one. So there is no moment in my life when I am not thinking of my Guru, when I am not thinking of his grace, his care, his concern, his censoring, his control over me, and it is just like I am a dog on a leash, and I am conscious of that. So there comes self-criticism. Is it approved by my Guru? How does he take it? How does he understand it? I had to get a note from him. Yes, it's okay. Then I do. If I don't get that, I don't do. Ye me madamidam nityamanudishtandi manavaha shraddhavando anasuyando mutyande te vikarmabhihi. They too, Whoever adhere to their doctrine of mind, men full of faith and free from any mistrust in respect of it, they gain release from works. Ye tvedapyasuyando nanu tishtandi me madam sarvajnana vimudham sthan vitti nashtana chedasaha. On the other hand, those soulless ones who look upon this my doctrine with mistrust and adhere not to it, know them as shut away from all knowledge and as lost. So if you walk in the dark, naturally you stumble and fall, and so it is to your own advantage that when you see a light, you walk in the light. Sadrisham cheshtade swasyah prakrite jnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhudani nigraha kinkarishyati. Even a man of wisdom behaves in conformity with his own nature. All creation goes on subject to nature. Of what avail is control? We have Sri Ramakrishna. We have Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda was a very sincere, loyal devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. But did he become Sri Ramakrishna? No. He became Swami Vivekananda. So each person has his own nature and his own life to live, his own model. There is some uniqueness about us, and in our life we will continue that uniqueness. We have the 10 gurus of the Sikh hierarchy. Not one guru was like another guru. All the 10 gurus were different. But each guru at the same time was a guru par excellence. And he derived his teaching from the previous guru. Like that, we take everything from our guru, but not to imitate us. We do not want to become him, we want to be ourselves with all the grace that he gives us. Indriyasyendriyasyardhe ragadveshau vyavastidau tayorna vajamahagachet tau hyasya paribandhinau. Better is activity rightly conforming to one's own nature, though lacking in superior quality, than activity foreign to one's own nature, although it may be well done otherwise. Even death by the performance of what fits one properly has merit. Activity foreign to one's is fraught with danger. This is where we are entering into what we call Swadharma, one of the beautiful teaching in this Gita. Then Arjuna asks, so here there is three representation, all of the same story. This is a story well known to all of you perhaps, but still I like to again go through it. So a certain recluse who very much wanted to have spiritual powers, he stood meditating for a long time doing penance, and then some bird which flew over him was not taking due attention of him, and it made a dropping on him, and that made him very angry, and he looked at the bird, and the bird died. And when the bird died, he thought, now good, I have this great spiritual power. I will now go to the bird and show how powerful I am. So he went to the city, the town, and then he asked for bhiksha, But the lady there was not immediately impressed by his call. She was attending on her husband. She was very devoted to her husband. She was giving, he was ailing, he was sick, so she was giving him a bath. But after giving him bath and after feeding him and putting him back to bed, she came and asked him, "What do you want?" But he was so angry. He said, "I am a person who has so much of psychic power to kill a bird by just looking at it. And what does this woman think of me?" And in that anger, when he looked at the woman said, "I am not a bird that you can kill with your look." And then he was astonished. How did this woman know that I killed a bird with a mere look? So this is not an ordinary woman, she is a mother, a divine mother who knows everything. Otherwise, how could I know? How could she know? So I should now become her disciple and find out how she got the secret. I was doing penance and she seems to do no penance, she is just a housewife. And how did she get it? By just being a housewife. So I should find that secret from her. When he was thinking like that, she said, "Go down still further in the same street. At the end of the street there is a butcher. You go to the butcher and he will tell you the secret of this." He didn't like that idea of going to a butcher to learn. He is a very pious, holy man, sacred man. Now to go to a butcher, and how do you learn it from the butcher? So he came to the butcher, and then the butcher, by cutting up meat and doing his work without taking his mind off, he simply said, "Oh, did that mother send you here? You are the person who killed a bird by looking at it, and the mother asked you to come to me to take lessons from me." He became more surprised this time because this man knew about the bird, about the lady, and what the lady said to him, and how he is a butcher. And he is doing something which is not at all sacred, it's not a holy work, and yet he has this kind of understanding. What is the secret? Whatever is your work, when it is allotted to you, when that is part of your lifestyle, be sincere to it, and through that you arrive at the ultimate, the highest. And that brings you Shreyas. Do not imitate. And there is no need for the butcher to become a sannyasi, nor the sannyasi to become a butcher. Whatever is true to you, you carry it on, and that will reward you. अधखेन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरति पूरुषः अनिच्छन्न विवर्ष्णेय बलादिव नियोजितः. Arjuna said, "Then impelled by what does man lead such a life of sin, even against his will, O Varshnaya, Krishna, as he forcefully enjoined? Kamesha krodhayesha rajoguna samudbhavah mahashano mahapapma vidhyena vihavairinam." These are our greatest enemies. Our enemies are Kama and Krodha. Such is desire, such is anger, born out of the modality, guna called active, affective rajas, all devouring, all vitiating. Know this to be the enemy here. Thuminavriyade vannir yadhaadarsho malena cha yadholbena vrudo garphastadha tenedamavrutam. A smoke shouts fire, As a mirror is beclouded by dirt, as the fetus is enclosed in the amnion, likewise is by such is this surrounded. आवृतं ज्ञानमेधेन ज्ञानिनो नित्यवैरिणा कामरूपेण कौन्तेय दुष्पूरेण अनलेन च. Wisdom is enveloped by that which is the eternal enemy of the wise, remaining in the form of desire, O Kaunteya, which is a fire too that is difficult to satiate. Tasmat त्वमिन्द्रियाण्यादौ नियम्य भरतर्षभा पात्मानं प्रजहिह्येनं ज्ञानविज्ञाननाशनम्. This is said to be lodged in the senses, mind and in reason. By means of this desire bewilders the embodied one by veiling his wisdom. Indriyani paranyahurindriyebhyah param manah manasastu parabuddhiryo buddhehe paradastu saha. It is taught in ancient tradition that the senses are beyond. Beyond the senses is the mind, beyond the mind is reason, and beyond reason is He, the Absolute. Evam buddhehe param buddhva samstaphyatmanam atmana jehi chatru mahabaho kamaruvam durasadam. Thus knowing Him to be beyond reason, immobilizing the self by the self, O mighty armed, kill that enemy in the form of desire, so difficult to encounter. So far, the Lord was asking Arjuna to fight. Now He says to fight what? Fight your enemy, which is none other than your desire. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.